What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar. We're going to be breaking down our futures contract. We're going to run through it really quickly, just kind of go over what's occurred over the last few days, go over what happened today and what we can kind of expect moving forward. So far, going into the end of the month, we look at our monthly. The monthly is doing really well. We are continuing to set higher highs, right? That's very positive for the monthly, right? We got really good extension above last month's high. Last month's high being 53.5825. We got up to 55.76.75 so far this month. So really good extension above the previous month's high. That's what you want to see when a trend up is still young, just like we had back here. Multiple months above a previous month's high had really good extension, keeps that going. And then you can see here that inside month caused that a little bit of a pullback shakeout. Great opportunity for people to get long. Boom, got long, and now they're reaping the benefits, right? So the question becomes, when do they take profits? When do these people take profits? You know, when do those that got long here take profits, right? Or those that got the majority, right? Whenever they got long here, did they get out here and then re-enter, or were they waiting for more of a pullback? That question always remains. And so far, if you did buy near the lows, not at the lows, but let's say near the lows, you are up roughly 505 points on your position, just roughly. So about a 9% move from whenever you bought. Even if you bought midway through this area here, you're still up 300 points, 7%. The question is, when does that become a take profit point? So let's just kind of backtrack here and, use other months as kind of like a framework, right? This series of months right here, where we one time framed up into new highs, had a bit of a month down, came into a balance, and then went up. We take it from the low of that point, move it to the highs. We've got about a 12% move, or about 538 points to the upside, right? Let's find another instance of that happening. Let's look right around here. This last move back into the new highs after we broke the balance. Let's say after we broke this balance high area here around the 4,600 level. Let's just say if you bought it from this low here into the next series of highs, that was about a 700 or an 800 point rise to the upside, 16%. So anywhere from 12 to 16% return, rough estimate, right? It's not going to be accurate. So far from the lows to the highs here, we had about a 12% move to the upside. Now the question is, will we continue to move to the upside and get a 16, 17% move higher, right? Get around 800 points to the upside extension, hit that 5,800 level, maybe even the 5,950 target before we stop the one-time framing down again. That is, kind of all speculation, and who knows. But the positive thing is monthly, one-time framing up, continuing to set higher highs. Now let's look at our weekly. All right, our weekly has been one-time framing up for the last 4 weeks after this series of consolidation right here, right? We consolidated between the high up here of 53.5825 and this low of 52.05. So consolidated in this area, broke out of it, and had a really good upside extension above that so far. Even with a premium weekly gap, the move is still looking rather good. Now, where the monthly, or not the monthly, where the weekly time frame will stop the one-time framing up, meaning we stop setting higher highs and higher lows by taking out a previous week's low, we would have to take out this last week's low of 54.8975. So that would stop the weekly from one-time framing up. And not only would that that be the case, if we look at what our daily balance is, it's basically all of last week's range essentially. And if we come out of this balance to the downside, we would be one-time framing down on the daily. So let's look at the daily right quick. And you see how the daily has been in this period of consolidation. We've been consolidating in here for the last 6 days. We're in a 6-day balance. consolidating between that 54.89.75 and 55.76.75, which are both your weekly balance, or no, excuse me, your weekly high, your daily balance high, and your weekly low, daily balance low. So the question is, what are we doing here, right? Are we going to come down and fill this area of gappage, right? Are we going to come back and test the 20-day moving average at some point? The question, remains to be answered at the moment. We continue to consolidate. Range continues to contract. Volume continues to decrease. At some point, something's going to have to change, and we're going to get a move of pretty good size to the upside or to the downside. If we were just take this whole range here, it's just kind of an estimate, stack it on top of the previous high here. If we break out of this range, that should lead to a move toward the 56.60 level. If we take it out to the downside, we should go back and test these lows down here at the 5400 level and back test the 200-day moving average, or not the 200, excuse me, the 20-day moving average. Okay, just kind of rough estimate, just kind of a quick tool. Throw that out there. That's how I kind of gauge ranges whenever we are in a balance area. So if we were to take out this low here, 89.75, the weekly will stop one time framing up. This gap here would most likely get filled, and the daily would be one time framing down. However, on the flip side, if we come up and take out the balance high, 55.76.75, the weekly high is also there, continues to one time frame up, and then the daily will resume one time framing up. And this consolidation period will just result in a nice move to the upside. So far, it's looking like the buyers are still remaining in control. We are firmly rejecting out of what the lower distribution was back from this day on the 17th. We'll look at that here just right now, actually. We'll go ahead and look at that, as it is a very interesting level, in my opinion, how we're just kind of rejected out of that area. And not only are we rejecting out of that middle to lower distribution, it's also where our previous all-time highs were located. Our previous all-time high located with this contract, to be specific, because this is the newer contract, was right around this 55.18 level. Look at how each time we pulled back near that 55.18 level, we've got a responsive bounce above that level, which also happens to be where this middle distribution is located. And I have that highlighted right here. If we look at this big trend day up, we had multiple distributions to the upside. So far, we've come back and filled in. I'll pull up our destinations. We filled in a lot of these single prints from that day. Ooh, that's ugly. Not trying to do that. Filled in a lot of these single prints from that day. See how there's single prints between each of these areas, right? Still have yet to fill in this area from 55.0950 down into the lower distribution that starts at 55.04. All right, so you can see how we've gotten responsive bounces each time we got near that 55.19 level. Now, yesterday was the only day that maybe seemed like we could have had a little bit of change. Yesterday, we pushed down toward it, consolidated a little bit, got a bit of a bounce back up. But after the liquidation and failure of pushing above 55.50, right, after failing to get back above that 55.50 level and holding above it, which was a key level back here to this move higher, 55.50 was a struggle. We failed here. We failed here. We failed to get near it here. So sellers are kind of defending that 55.50 level, pushing us down into this middle distribution and this lower distribution. But so far, 2 times lately, we've rejected out of it, not finding much acceptance in that distribution. So if I pull up that highlighted area, you can see that area between 55.19 and 55.09 is kind of, this 10-point range has kind of been a very strong support or buying area, buying pressure stepping in this area. Now, if we get below that and find acceptance, you'll most likely come down and test this lower distribution, which would ultimately test the balance low. So if I pull up our balance area, you can see our balance and weekly low are down here at 54.89.75. So if we ever at any point in time get below this 55.09 level, most likely we'll go and test the balance low. But so far we've gotten near it, but no cigar, not even close to breaking it as we've held. In yesterday's session, after failing to find any traction above the previous day's high, right? Finding any traction above Friday's high, nothing above there. Rolled over, had an outside day down, which failed miserably. We had a price probe late in the day. We look right here. You can see how ugly this gets sometimes. You can see how we were consolidating near these lows. And yesterday, or Friday's low, excuse me, we were struggling to push down lower. And then late in the day, we got this spike of price moving lower, right? Volume and this big spike pushing price lower. And sellers wanted to open above or below 55.2250, and then buyers wanted to open above that. Well, this morning, that was a firm rejection early on. We opened above it, pulled back below it, didn't really find any acceptance. Once again, that is the area of pulling ourselves into that area of the lower, or not the lower, but the middle distribution. Got a nice bounce out of it. First time was struggling up here. We got a little bit of a rollover. Took out the day's low, setting new ones, but also look at how perfect and nice of a bounce this was, right? Resulted in a bounce in the after hours, pushed us up higher. Resulted bounce today, pushed it up higher into this kind of low volume area that we're struggling to get above, between 55.40, and then ultimately this 55.50 level will be heavy resistance. But in the intermediate time, getting above 55.40 today was very tough. Kind of where change took place yesterday, right? We were struggling to push up higher here, getting above 55.52. And then once we kind of broke below this 55.41 level, we never kind of came back above it, right? We struggled here on this liquidation break, pushed us lower, never got back to it. Today, pushed up near 55.40, couldn't get above it, rolled over. So it's acting as some type of resistance there. But just really interesting to me to see, how, I hate when I do this shit. It's really interesting to me to see how we reject the price probe. So that's kind of giving me even more of a reason to maybe see that we do reject from this 55 level, this 55.15 level, and then come and test up here around the 55.50. We get above that, then the balance high 55.76, 75 is the most likely target. So several times down here, 1, 2, 3, 4 big failures by the sellers so far to really gain any traction below this 55.20 level and get the ball moving to the downside, even though things seem like they could be in their favor. Let's mark destinations really quick. Mark destinations really quick. Move this down to today's low, and tomorrow I'll treat today as an inside day, as it was. We really didn't spend much time below yesterday's low, so I'm going to treat today as an inside day. So whenever it comes to that, we'll monitor. Whichever way we come out of today's range, we'll go with it and monitor it for continuation. So that'll be, if we take out 39.75, then we'll go with it and monitor it for continuation, meaning we'll see if we get any more extension towards this 55.58 level. If we do, then the likelihood of us testing the balance high increases, and by monitoring it for continuation, what we'd like to see is some type of trend day hold, some good volume, some good big buyers stepping into the market, and not just kind of wheezing out, you know what I mean? Another interesting thing today is we go out with a 9 wide point of control. We have a point of control that is 9 wide right here at 26.50. 26.50 is going to be our 9 wide point of control. Another reason why I think the buyers are very strong is because an M period, even though we couldn't get above here, sellers are weak, right? Couldn't really roll this thing over enough to get back to the point of control down here and get 10 wide, right? You would have thought if sellers were really strong, we would have gotten down to that 26 level from the 40 level and gotten 10 wide, but just did not happen. They did not have it in them. So that's what's got me thinking that this market is not going to, it's having a lot harder time to roll over than what some sellers and some bears would like in this market. So very interesting to see a 9 wide point of control here, right? Is this an opportunity in an area for somebody to accumulate some contracts, accumulate a position, right? Looks like they might have accumulated a position here around this 33 level and then averaged in around this 26 level. So somebody somewhere is getting into this market or getting out. It's one of the two, right? That's usually what we see when we start to see wide points of control develop. Typically, right up here, it was distribution, ended up rolling over. Is this more distribution of shares that were accumulated at lower prices? Or is this accumulation for shares to be distributed up higher at the higher prices and target that 5,600 level on the upside? That is kind of the main question. That's the question that remains. And, you know, answers to be unseen. So anybody that did watch this video, if you don't mind, leave a like down below. If I need to explain things, I'll try to do better. Yeah, just give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, these videos are typically just for me and how I review things, kind of get it in my head, these destinations in these areas moving forward. So once again, thanks for everybody stopping by. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you.